Maggie,
Hi.
it's really such an honor to chat to you. I did want to say that Now That the Light is Fading was the soundtrack of my final year of high school, and it means a lot to me
Oh
still
my
to this day.
gosh. Oh,
Um,
that's so special. It's thanks for saying that.
yeah, like I still listen to Dog Years, and I sometimes weep to it, so that's really great. Thank you for doing that for me.
I just realized my video is not in these.
Good start.
Do it this way. Cool. Um, that is so, I mean, that song was about me leaving college. So it's a lot of the same feelings in both spaces, but I'm so happy it found you. That's so cool.
Yeah, I was curious, and when I was preparing for this interview, I went back and listened to all of your music, which is in all of my playlists anyways, but I was like, let me just go through a cohesive, I guess, line through everything. And I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how has the process of creating music changed or stayed largely the same from, Now That Lies Fading to Don't Forget Me?
It's funny it is both massively changed and not changed at all. I mean, I think the thing that is really at the center is just how much I love doing this and also the songwriting. Like I feel like my songwriting has always been really consistent and the kind of songs that I write and the sort of tone and the lyrical imagery, like that feels really like a constant through line. And then I think around it is me growing and maturing and my music taste doing like following that process, but also I think when I'm making records, I'm really trying to challenge myself and trying to learn something new each time. So a lot of times I feel like it's funny because when Alaska came out, I was like in a real moment of experimenting with production because I already felt so like I had been making music at that point for almost 10 years. And so I was really comfortable and confident with just what I sounded like. So I was just trying new things. And I think this new record, oh sorry, this new record in so many ways feels like coming home because I made it really without thinking and I wasn't trying to experiment with anything. I was just having fun. Like this is sort of what I sound like in my most unguarded, easy moments. And I'll always be experimenting and trying new things because if I didn't, I would get bored and then I would stop doing this. But it was a nice, yeah. I've both grown a ton and I think stayed really consistent.
Listening to it and listening to the new album, it does feel very you, but in a different way. And it's kind of like, I think there's a real beauty in your work across all of the albums where, I mean, even as a listener, you can go back and listen to the same songs. And if I was going through a specific experience, especially with Surrender and COVID and lockdown and all those feelings, but I listen back to them and I can attribute a different experience to it. And I think that's really powerful. And I
Yeah.
think it's to a sense of that metamorphosis, I guess you were speaking to at the core of your work of revealing parts of yourself. Did anything sort of get revealed to yourself when you were making Don't Forget Me?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, because this is the first record that I've made where I felt like I was writing fiction in a way. Like in many ways I like developed a character that felt like a sort of like early to mid 20s version of myself, like on a road trip through the American Southwest. But it like there are so many stories that feels like I've lived them on this record. Like never going home, I can picture exactly which friend would have come into my room and been like, "We're going out. Get dressed." And I can picture the whole scenario in my head, but it never happened. But I think it's because, this record feels like this incredibly woven tapestry of all of these memories from different parts in my life, but particularly from my 20s. I mean, I'm turning 30 in a couple weeks at the end of April. And this record really, in a way, does feel like an ode to my 20s. And I think in the past, I've used records always as a record of a period of time, but I've done that in a very literal way where I've tried to just like categorize like the events and emotions of my life that happened in like a since the last record, basically in a year or 2 year period. And I think opening up the scope a bit on this record, it and being able to write fiction that was like by telling stories, I was able to in some ways tell some of the greatest truth about my life.
It definitely feels like that with this album is because I feel like the other two. are very introspective in a way and really reflective. And this one, it still has those elements of introspection, but it does feel like this just big narrative, I guess, of this character. And I saw that you said that you make music for the main characters, which I love because I iconically think of myself as a main character.
I mean,
Um,
that quote got taken out of context and turned into the headline, which is why I hate interviews, because I was like, that was a joke. Like, come on. But I was jokingly saying I make music for like main character. Yeah, I said that, but like I was joking and I wasn't. Like I want somebody listening to my music to feel like they're the main character in their life, because that means that they feel loved and essential and important and all of those things, you know, like. And I think as far as the introspection versus exospection, what is that word that I just decided on? Um, uh, I feel like my friends keep telling me that this is the version of me that they know. It's a little bit sillier and a little bit more Southern. And I think a big part of that is that I just feel way more comfortable doing this. I'm at this real integration phase where I feel like I've accomplished everything I've ever wanted to. And like I'm living in the world of like dreams beyond dreams. And I just love making music. And I think the early years of my career happened so quickly that I was just young, but like I was just figuring it out. And I think this sort of like arrival moment as I'm turning 30, there's a timing and an alignment to it that just like makes a lot of sense. And I think you can hear that like self-knowledge. And because I feel so grounded, I feel like I can share a little bit more, even if it's both my story and not, you know, like I would never, some of the songs on this record, like I would never write a song disparagingly about a partner of mine that or someone that I loved. Like it's just not my style. But there's songs on this record that are like so like don't touch boy. And it's fun for me because they were a story. So it's nice to like play that character or like write into, you know, that rom-com heroine, whether it's like Julia Stiles and 10 Things I Hate About You, or like I mentioned Clueless for So Sick of Dreaming, or like I'm a big Meg Ryan girl as my fellow like MR. And like I don't know. Maybe it's that I like write music for a rom-com cutie.
will love that. I did actually read that headline and I was like, does she? And then I was like, maybe, I guess. I was like, I think I'm the main character and I connect to your music. So I was like, maybe. But then I was kind of like, I don't know. But yeah, no, that's
It's like I want you to like listen to it. Like this was never a conscious decision. This is just in hindsight. I totally make the kind of music that is like you put it on when it's time for you to like have your character arc moment. And like I feel great about that.
yeah, I will tell you that I felt like I was the only person alive when I would listen to Now the Light is Fading. I was like, yeah, my experience
My
is
life.
similar, and it's I'm currently walking through a mountain and I'm not. So
I did my job and I
yeah.
did my job. That's awesome.
I wanted to kind of say though, you were talking about this album kind of feels like going back home and going back to some of those sort of free places. And you obviously grew up playing the banjo and making folk music. And this album feels a bit of a return to that open soul that, you know, you used to speak about, especially because Surrender was such a big atmospheric live music album. But was that the goal for this one, or was it just kind of how it happened?
There wasn't a goal. I mean, which I think is what's so special about it. I mean, I made this record in 5 days and I hadn't even really toured Surrender yet when I made it. So there was no pressure to make anything. I hadn't like conceptualized what the world would be for the next album yet. It was like a couple days before Christmas, and it was just like Ian Fitchuk, my co-writer, co-producer, we had never worked together before. So it was like musical handshake, like let's just go in and see what happens. And then we were just like having a blast. And there was something really fundamentally childlike about it, like in this very like playtime. Like it was just hanging out and making music. And I think that's why I didn't even like, I wasn't trying to pour my like greatest truths into these songs. I just started writing and was like, that's interesting. Like I'll keep writing the song because it's nice to spend an afternoon writing a song. And then and then because we were so unguarded, there's actually so much truth and so much personality. And like, because I wasn't trying to understand everything or control everything, what came through is actually just like what it sounds like when Ian and I get into a room with absolutely no agenda. And I think you can hear also on the record how much fun we're having. And that to me is like, you can tell, like, if you've ever seen me play live, like, I'm just, which to be fair, I haven't been to Australia in a really long time. So if you haven't, that's my fault, not yours. Um, it, I just have so much fun. And I think it's nice to be able to, I'm a deeply introspective, quiet, serious person, but I'm also like a silly weirdo. And it's like nice to get to share that side of myself as well.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and I'm excited for fans to hear this different, not different side, but maybe a more open side, a fun side. And
Okay.
it's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is so cool. And yeah, I was listening to one.
Sparkly.
Yeah,
This it is sparkly. It's just like silly and like, but there's, I mean, there are quiet moments on the record where I think you get the like full picture, but like, yeah, I go to rehearsal tomorrow and I get to play these songs with my band for the first time, and I'm like so excited.
my gosh, yeah, that's such a special experience. But I mean, speaking of performing things, I literally just listened to your cover of Greedy that you just did.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
and I didn't think I could cry to that song, but that's the power of your voice. But what drew you to wanting to cover Greedy of all songs?
Oh my God. Well, the second I heard Greedy, I was like, this song slaps. Like, I loved this song the second I heard it. And I thought that I love the friction of my favorite kind of music is like dancing while crying. And I was sort of just wondering if I could kind of take that song, which is so like don't touch boy sassy, um, and make it something really intimate and so much. Yeah, I was thinking specifically about like Lucinda Williams and Gillian Welch and like how to bring their like effervescent flow to that song. And I just wanted to make it sound like something you hadn't like a version that you hadn't heard before.
Yeah,
So
it definitely was that. And I was like, I'm feeling emotional listening to Tate McRae.
I
Love.
don't agree.
I guess the sort of last question I have for you is you said that Don't Forget Me is designed for a Sunday afternoon drive, and I'm obsessed with that concept. But what other songs would you put on your own Sunday afternoon drive playlist?
Mhm. Well, I mean, that concept came from like really thinking about, I think that albums you're alone in the car singing along to are some of the most intimate relationships you ever have. And getting to be there for somebody in those moments of their life and soundtrack that is one of the greatest privileges of what I get to do. Um, I the first thing that comes to mind is Graceland by Paul Simon. That's such a driving record to me. Car Wheels on a Gravel Road by Lucinda Williams. I mentioned her earlier, but I mentioned her because it's a record I only put on when I'm alone in the car, and it's like exactly what I want to hear every time. Um, I've been listening to a lot of Bonnie Raitt recently. I would put her in that category. Um, I have really, really powerful memories of listening to Erykah Badu in the car with my mom as a kid, and I would put Baduisms in that bank as well.
I mean, that sounds like the perfect playlist. I actually have a playlist called Summer Sunsets, and it's my like driving
Oh,
playlist. And almost all of your music is on there, just so it's so it is.
this is everything that I ever wanted. That like means so much.
No, and I mean that's sort of all the time I have, but I really do appreciate speaking to you today. And as I said,
Oh,
I've been a fan of yours since I was 17, and your music means a lot to me. And getting to chat to you is a real honor, and I'm excited for everyone in the world to hear the new record. And yeah, I listened to it on repeat for the past 2 days since I got access to it. So it's been great. And yeah, I
you
really
have a favorite song?
oh my gosh, don't do this to me. I really, really like I think I like So Sick of Dreaming. I think I dislike yeah, I just the Shania Twainisms in it, and I just am obsessed with that. But I mean, I also really like Don't Forget Me. Like it's everything is so beautiful, and again, it feels like I feel like I'm standing which happens a lot with your music, with when I listen to it. It feels like I'm standing in an open field and I'm just like, the wind's blowing and no one else is there and it's just me. And
Ah!
yeah, it really is so special. And yeah, I'm so excited for the world to hear it. And I'm so
That's
grateful
good.
to chat to you.
No, you too. This was such a sweet conversation. It's nice to meet you, and I hope next time we play in Australia we get to meet in person.
Please. Yeah, let's tee that up. Everyone who's listening to this conversation, let's.
I'm writing it down.
Tell me that night, because I'll play dog years. We don't always play it, but I'll play it that night.
Yes. Play, and then you'll
I
just
got
see someone weeping and like sobbing, and you're like, that person needs help.